Welcome in, everyone. We're going to be talking about how artists can use their skills to make a living. We've got a really interesting article to help us unpack this.
Yeah, what is that?
It's called Five Service-Based Business Ideas for Artists. It's from marketyourart.net.
Okay, service-based, so not just like selling your art, but like offering a service using your art skills for that.
Exactly. And I think a lot of artists, myself included, might hear that and think, wait, me? Can I really do that?
Right.
So let's talk about what the advantages are of going this route.
I think the biggest one, at least for me, is the recurring income piece. Like if you sell a painting, that's one sale. But if you teach a workshop, you can teach that workshop again and
So
again.
it's more sustainable. You're not always having to hustle to find the next buyer.
Exactly. You're also, I think, tapping into a slightly different market.
How so?
Well, someone who maybe can't afford $1,000 painting might be able to swing, $100 for a really cool workshop.
I see. You're making art more accessible in a way and probably building more of a community around what you do.
Totally. And don't forget all the skills you develop as an artist. Patience, problem solving,
Mm.
and eye for detail. Those are valuable, marketable
You
skills.
get my wheels turning.
Yeah.
But let's be real. There have to be some downsides too, right?
Huh.
Nothing's perfect.
Yeah, of course, of course. One thing that comes to mind is you're basically trading time for money more directly than maybe selling a physical piece.
Okay, so how do you avoid, getting to a point where you're working all the time and not making what you're worth?
That's huge. You've got to be smart about pricing your services, managing your time effectively.
And marketing yourself probably becomes even more important, right?
Totally. You're not just selling a beautiful object, you're selling your expertise, your unique style.
So much to think about. Well, luckily, this marketyourart.net article gives us 5 really concrete examples of service-based businesses for artists. Wanted to dive into those.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so first up, what's something a lot of artists, myself included, kind of naturally gravitate towards, even if we don't always realize it?
I think a lot of artists, whether they realize it or not, are already equipped to be amazing teachers. Yeah, teaching art, whether it's through workshops or online courses or even one-on-one mentoring.
Right, right. And there's so much flexibility there. Like you could teach a one-time workshop on, I don't know, how to use a certain type of glaze.
Or you could create like a whole 6-week course on like figure drawing. It's really up to you.
So many possibilities. This article actually mentioned a few really cool examples. Have you heard of Flora Bowley?
Yeah, yeah. She does those intuitive painting workshops, right?
Yes. I was so drawn to that because it's not just about, learning to paint a pretty picture. It's like a whole mindset shift.
Totally. It's about tapping into your creativity in a different way, letting go of perfectionism. I think that's why she's been so successful, honestly.
See, that's what I mean about valuable insights. Because I could say, oh, yeah, intuitive painting, but you've explained why it's so compelling.
It's about meeting a need. And I think that's true for any kind of teaching. You have to figure out what you're passionate about and who wants to learn from you.
Find your people.
Mm.
Okay, so that's teaching. And then, kind of on a different note, we have art consulting and interior design.
This is where your eye for aesthetics really comes into play.
Right. You're helping people create spaces that they love that reflect their personality.
Exactly. Imagine, someone who's just moved into a new house. They have all these blank walls. They don't know where to begin.
They're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then the art consultant comes in, almost like a personal stylist, but for your home.
I like that. And there are so many ways to approach this. The article mentioned Toma Clark Haynes, the antiques diva. She helps people find these really unique, one-of-a-kind pieces.
Oh, see, that's my jam. I love the thrill of the hunt for those hidden treasures.
Right. But then you have someone like Daniel Moltzman, who actually blends his art consulting with his own art practice. So he's creating the art and then helping people incorporate it into their homes.
Oh, wow. So you can kind of specialize even within this niche,
Mhm.
whether it's sourcing, designing, or even creating the artwork yourself.
Exactly. It's about finding your thing. But I think one thing that's crucial for both art consulting and interior design, besides a good eye, of course, is communication.
Because you're working with clients, trying to understand their vision, and sometimes their vision might be very different from yours, right?
Absolutely. You have to be a good listener, a good communicator, and maybe even a little bit of a therapist sometimes.
Right. You're helping them navigate their own tastes and preferences. Okay, so we've got teaching, we've got art consulting. Now, for those who love to travel, we have artist retreats.
Yes. Combining art and adventure. Picture this. You're in Tuscany, surrounded by vineyards, learning how to paint watercolors.
Okay, stop. You had me at Tuscany. But seriously, that sounds amazing. The article mentioned the earning potential is higher with retreats, but I'm guessing the startup costs are higher too.
You're right. You're factoring in things like travel expenses, lodging, finding the right venue.
It's like planning a wedding, but for art.
Right. But it can be so rewarding. And again, there are so many different ways to do it. The article highlighted Nikki Tracos, who incorporates mindfulness into her watercolor retreats.
I love that. It's like a total mind-body experience.
Exactly. And then there's Jean Oliver, who weaves in local history and culture into her retreats. So you're not just learning art techniques, you're immersing yourself in a new place.
Okay, now I'm adding artist retreat to my bucket list. That sounds incredible. It's like travel, personal growth, and creative exploration all rolled into one.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered teaching, art consulting, and the magic of artist retreats. But for our listeners who are drawn to the more, I don't know, technical side of the art world, what's next?
Yeah, we're getting into some really interesting territory now. Appraisal and restoration. Definitely more specialized.
Right, like these are the folks behind the scenes, the ones with the magnifying glasses and the tiny brushes, carefully bringing these artworks back to life.
Exactly. It's fascinating stuff. With appraisal, you're basically determining how much piece of art is worth.
So you need to know about art history. Like,
Yeah.
what makes something valuable?
Oh, absolutely. You have to know the artists, the movements, the techniques, even the materials. It all plays a role.
And I bet you have to be able to spot a fake, right?
Oh, for sure. That's a big part of it. Authentication, making sure a piece is actually what it claims to be.
Wild. Okay, so that's appraisal. And then restoration. That feels like a whole other skill set.
It is. Restoration is all about preserving and conserving artworks. You might be repairing damage, cleaning a painting, or even just stabilizing it so it doesn't deteriorate further.
So it's a mix of like artistic skill and scientific knowledge.
Exactly. You have to understand the chemistry of the materials, the best conservation techniques. It's delicate work.
I can imagine. The article mentioned that the earning potential for both of these, appraisal and restoration, is pretty good. But I imagine it takes a lot of training and experience to get to that point.
Definitely. These aren't fields you just jump into overnight. But if you're passionate about art and have an eye for detail, they can be incredibly rewarding careers.
That's so cool. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here today, from teaching to art consulting, even restoring priceless masterpieces. I feel like we've gotten a glimpse into this whole other world, all these ways artists can share their talents and build a business.
And that was really the goal, to open up some possibilities, spark some ideas for our listeners. And the cool thing is, you don't have to fit neatly into one category. You can blend these ideas, experiment, find what lights you up.
Exactly. Maybe you teach watercolor workshops and offer art consulting services on the side. Or you create these amazing travel journals during your artist retreats and sell those. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Infinite. It's all about tapping into your own creativity, your unique skills, and finding that sweet spot where your passion meets the needs of your audience.
I love that. And for our listeners who are ready to dive even deeper into these service-based business ideas, where should they go?
Head over to marketyourart.net and check out the full article, 5 Service-Based Business Ideas for Artists. It's packed with even more insights, real-world examples, even some tips on getting started. You can find the link in the show notes.
Perfect. So go check that out. And who knows, maybe you'll be launching your own creative business venture soon. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep that entrepreneurial spirit alive.